Hi, I'm Plop, and I'm coming to you from
57 Sunset Trail, Toronto, Canada.
This is Nintendo's top R&D facility here in
Haiti.
Take a look at the fucking game!
65. I'd like to tell you about
Jesus!
and, well, actually, nobody really cares about
Jesus!
What matters is fun.
You don't call it chocolate milk for nothing.
This is the N680, the N680. We may be smaller than the
Chocolate chip cookie!
but believe me, this baby is packed with power.
Up, girls!
Have the cartridge slot.
Have the cartridge slot. Have the cartridge slot. Have the cartridge slot.
You probably already know Nintendo is dedicated to this allows you to upgrade the RAM. There's some other things we can do with this port.
We feel that today's action games, sports games, fighting games, racing games, chocolate games,
Bullshit!
games,
Great ass!
games, games, crunchy games.
And here we have the new controller. And here we have the new controller. And here we have the
Lumpy!
controller. And just as important, you will never see
A woman's tits.
Today's episode of Hardcore Kids Movies has been brought to you in part by the Nintendo Wii U Gives a Shit controller. Power to the Nintendo fanboys!
Hey dudes, Hardcore Kid here. Hardcore enough to review kid stuff. Arthur and the Invisibles has to be one of the most frustrating movies I have ever had to review on this show. There is just so much to nitpick at that it'd probably take me all night just to describe what's wrong with it. This was French director Luc Besson's attempt to bring his Arthur and the Minimoys storybook series to the big screen. And what did we get? Well, we got a British kid living with his grandmother who has parents that are greedy bastards, who is transformed into a tiny troll doll and interacts in a world filled with tiny troll dolls, who has to find his grandfather and his treasure and save the Minimoy world from an evil villain with AIDS. Add a bunch of booze, bogos, and bitches, and you have a wonderfully animated fantasy tale that is fun for the whole family of meatheads. But even though his movie was a critical and commercial flop, Besson was not to be dismayed. Oh no. He didn't want to follow the route of a series of unfortunate events and leave his audience on a cliffhanger. Hell no. He wanted to make sure his babies were all delivered with that beautiful computer-enhanced charm for all the Arthur fans to see. Well, depending on how many Arthur fans there were, but you get my drift.
We're still artisan. We're still working with our heart. And sometimes we know it's not conventional, or maybe they won't like it, but we don't care because we like it. We are trying in Europe, when we make a film, the first person that we want to please is ourselves. We want to be sure that we love the film, and I can show the film to people. Even if you don't like it, I'm sad, but you know what? I'm going to sleep well anyway.
And thus we come to our next installment in the Arthur trilogy, Arthur and the Revenge of Maltazard. Now, Arthur and the Invisibles was a combination of both the first two books, Arthur and the Minimoys and Arthur and the Forbidden City. Arthur and the Revenge of Maltazard is based on the third entry, Arthur and the Vengeance of Maltazard. Both titles sound stupid enough, but it's the film's marketing that is truly mind-boggling to describe. Since Arthur and the Invisibles was such a disappointment in America, both this movie and the following sequel, Arthur and the War of the Two Worlds, ended up getting direct-to-video releases in the form of a 2-DVD box set called Arthur and the Invisibles 2 and 3, The New Minimoy Adventures. Whilst in Europe, both 2 and 3 were initially given theatrical releases, but then were edited together to create one whole movie entitled Arthur and the Great Adventure. Nitpick time! When Arthur and the Minimoys was first released in America, it was retitled Arthur and the Invisibles.
Welcome to the land of the Invisibles.
And now they've decided to call them the Minimoys. Then what was the purpose of changing the title in the first place? Second issue, you must have really fucked up if you were forced to take two 90-minute long films and trim them together to make one whole film. I haven't even pressed play yet and I'm already dreading what to expect from this. The first film was bad. How could it get any worse? Well, Let's find out. This is Arthur and the Revenge of the Fallen. The Revenge of Maltazard. Roll the footage. Now, as you already know, the movie is half live action, half computer generated. This is because the story takes place in two different worlds. The regular world, which is in live action, and the Minimoy world, which is in CG. The problem that these movies have is that they can't seem to tell what should be live action or computer generated. See this opening? The background is live action, but the tree and the leaves are computer generated. It makes it look cartoony and out of place. Arthur and the Invisibles had this recurring problem, and it only gets worse in later scenes. Believe me, you'll be wishing you were admiring the effects in Indiana Jones 4 in comparison. But until then, we're introduced to a whole army of new Minimoy characters, collecting water and fruit.
Grapes, berries, nuts. I don't have any nuts.
Neither do the filmmakers. Once again, this is a scene that just screams Bug's Life ripoff. All that's missing is a bird. Oh. Okay, make that a bee. We then have a showdown between the bee and the bugs, which lasts a grand total of 20 seconds before it pisses off towards Arthur's house. I hope you all enjoyed that 5 minutes of complete nonsense, because we never see the Minimoys again for another 30 minutes of complete nonsense. Cut to Arthur's house, where we see the bee get captured by Arthur's parents, who are just as assholey as they were in the first film. But this time, Arthur's dad is played by that dude from the Cosby Mysteries, Robert Stanton.
Look at its very little legs, that ugly bug-eyed head. Oh! Scared me. Me? You look like an alien. Will you take that ridiculous mask off? The bee can't sting you now. I have everything under control.
Why is it so hard to cast ethnically correct actors to play these characters? Why do we have an American playing a British person? Then again, why do we have Snoop Dogg playing a Jamaican? Oh, lighten up, hardcore kid. Any actor of any ethnic race could do a good British impression if they tried. Just look at Robert Stanton here. I believe he does a spot-on impression of Matt Smith. They've even got the same hair. So I don't see anything wrong with this bloke's performance, besides being a total loss. As for Snoop Dogg as a Jamaican, yeah, you're right. That is racist. So we cut to a hut in the woods where we once again see Arthur with the Bogle Matasali. Turns out for the past 2 years, the tribe have been teaching Arthur how to become one with nature. Hugging trees, eating grass, getting pissed on by wolves, all that stuff. Oh, so these were the guys who were responsible for the hippie movement. Bastards! Little interesting fact. Around the time that this movie was filmed, Freddie Highmore was in his teen years and was going through some pretty extreme puberty. So much so that Besson had to have him pre-record his lines before his voice cracked soon after. As a result, a majority of Arthur's lines, both in the animated and live-action bits, are clumsily dubbed in. So now we have English actors in a French film with voices dubbed into English. Who was the dumb muscle behind this idiocy? 4 kids?
Honey, do you think I would be able to live like the house over my head? No. There has to be a logical explanation. Fingerprints. Bullseye.
How do you get stung while wearing pants? Really sucks when the bee is the best actor in the scene. Enter Arthur's grandparents, Daisy and Archibald, once again played by Mia Farrow and Ronald Leroy Crawford, who look just as bored as ever.
And did you find the beaver's hut to take a nap in?
No, I couldn't find a beaver, so I picked a bear.
A bear? You slept with a bear? Well, that deserves a real reward.
Congratulations, boy! Let me know when you've slept with a mountain lion, and you'll have your own motorcycle. Well, Arthur's lesson certainly taught him one thing, and that's how to communicate with ants. Teaching them how to build bridges, ride in trains. Say, is anybody getting any Joe's Apartment flashbacks from this?
Train is about to depart. Stand clear, please. Oh.
So as you may have guessed, much of the first act revolves around Arthur's relationship with his parents. What do we know about Armand and Rose? Well, they're a couple of greedy saps. That's one thing we knew already. Secondly, they obviously don't give a shit about their son, since they always dump him off at his grandparents' house and don't seem to mind that he's hanging out with some weird African tribe that's making him sleep in the woods with bears for nights on end. On top of that, Armand is a real D-bag, almost like they're trying to use him to replace Davido as the antagonist. But shouldn't the main antagonist be Maltazard? I mean, isn't he who this movie is really about? So far, this movie has been less like the revenge of Maltazard and more like the revenge of Armand. I can totally see Roger Ebert ripping this guy a new asshole.
Fire department, please. Oh! Jeez, you scared me.
Scared of what? He's just standing there. Why is everyone in this movie so jumpy?
Ah!
Yeah! Well, if there is one character to look up to, it's good old Archibald. Even if his dialogue does come off as clunky.
I found the hive in the forest.
My dear Armand, may I remind you that even though my home is your home, it is still my home. And when I say my home, I mean this house and the magnificent gardens. That includes the trees and plants that are kind enough to grow here, and all the animals and insects that honor us with their presence, including the bees.
Birds, bees, bugs, bears, poison ivy, and infectious viruses, they're all a part of my home. And I'd like to keep it that way, even if it kills me. Even though it almost kinda did. So back to the plot, or lack thereof. The 10th moon is about to come, and Arthur is excited to go back to the Minimoy world and see Selenia again.
You've been gazing at the moon for the past 2 months. It's time you come down to Earth, because if my maths are as good as yours, you're starting school in 2 days.
Oh, listen, I'll do whatever you want for the whole year. I'll be the best son in the whole wide world. I've been waiting for this moment for months. I can't leave now, I'm begging you. Just a few hours, a few minutes. I have to see her.
Oh, those hormones sure are racing. It's no use, since Arthur has to go back home and go to school. But before he can leave, Miss Spider comes along, but not with a cup of tea, but with a message saying that the Minimoys are in trouble. So, on the car ride back home, Arthur's family stop at a gas station after Rose starts barfing in the car. While there, Arthur's dog Alfred shows up and the two swap places in the car. Alfred stays in the back seat, while Arthur runs back to the house. It's at this time that the Bogos show up, and Arthur and Archibald prepare to use the telescope.
The Bogo's ready. I need the telescope.
The telescope? The telescope? The telescope? The telescope, of course! The telescope!
Yep, the telescope. You know, I've taken a good look at that telescope, and I still have no friggin' clue how it's supposed to work. It collects light from the moon, which somehow opens up a portal, that somehow shrinks the viewer down, that somehow produces tree sap, honey substance that turns them into a Minimoy. What, is it meant to be powered by Bluetooth waves? Sure, why the fuck not? It makes about as much sense as everything else in this movie. But just as the clock strikes midnight, the moon ends up getting blocked by clouds, and the telescope deactivates. But the Bogos have one last alternative. Bind Arthur with vines and squeeze him until he shrinks down into his Minimoy form. It has to be seen. Well, shit! You killed Freddie Highmore. Now Charlie and the Glass Elevator will never get made. But no, the process actually works, and so Arthur is dropped into the telescope and into the Minimoy world, where he becomes that little toilet brush-haired runt once again.
Oh my god. That was some fool.
And how did my voice get so deep? So Arthur falls through a glass ceiling and ends up in Max's bar?
Hi.
Why not just send him directly to the Minimoy village? Isn't that where he's supposed to go? Why did they even move the telescope away from the pipe to begin with? I don't think now's the time for Arthur to stop in and get wasted. There's a sexy princess out there who needs his help, and his seed. No, it's just more padding so that we get to see Max again. Max is once again voiced by Snoop Dogg, one of the very few voice actors to reprise his role. At this point, I think he's just doing it for a paycheck.
You know there have been big changes around here since you left. There's a new head honcho. His name's Crow. He's such a nasty piece of work, he makes people nostalgic for Maltazard. Sometimes.
Maybe he's threatening the village. And that's why the Minimoys called me to the rescue.
Nah, I don't think so. Crow's a woodlouse. He's a couch potato. He never leaves his hole. He has an army of unicorns working for him, keeping everything tight.
Patrolling ugly shit-eating creatures, fighting off swarms of uglier shit-eating creatures. That's the power of Crow's army!
I'm the drill sergeant here, you toe-headed, contact lens-wearing piece of toast!
So now it's time for Arthur and Max to head into town in Max's souped-up Volkswagen Ladybug.
That's what's up.
Alright, that was pretty cool. So Arthur and Max fly into the city, which looks like Las Vegas if it were made with glow sticks, Hot Wheel toy sets, and random garbage you'd find lying around in your basement.
Hey, cool out. We safe now. I'm the king here. All you gotta do is look chill.
How come?
Best way not to get noticed around here is make sure everybody notices you.
That's a weird concept.
Sure, we call it cruising. Go slow, arm out the window, look like you're miles away, and just laugh.
Okay, what are you laughing at?
That's not the point, so long as everybody thinks they missed the joke. Dig?
Alright, I'll try that. Hey, ladies.
What's he laughing at? I don't know. Anybody get the joke?
Hey, what's he laughing at?
Hey, what do you know? It worked! I totally didn't get the joke! So Max explains how in the 2 years since Arthur left, the Kula Masai clan started up a huge chain of bars and industries, which eventually evolved into the neon city we're looking at right here. So this whole time, Mia Farrow has had a bunch of drunk, stoned parasites partying under her house and never knew about this?
This really is a nightmare.
So after leading Arthur through the crowds of pimps and pushers, we're introduced to his cousin Replay, voiced by Fergie.
Replay.
Hey, buddy, you dropped your wallet. No, thank me. But you better be careful around here because, whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! You blow it.
Hey, that little guy to your left, that's Arthur. King, the first king.
I know.
No, he got decorated this morning.
Yeah, I know. How about you tell me something I don't know?
Okay, you name it. Who, what, where, when, why? I got the juice.
You need the info? I'm your guy. I'm the R to the E to the P-L-A-Y. I smoked a ton of grass and now I'm all sky high. I'm Replaylicious. Meh. Tara Strong did it better.
I received a message from the Minimoys saying they were in danger. Do you know anything about it? Now that you mention it, I did hear something. Yes. I heard that a major personality with links to the palace was in serious trouble. Trouble? What kind of trouble? The palace? The princess? More like the young prince. Bedamesh? Affirmative. Bedamesh is in trouble? What happened?
Hey, I'm out of cash. I'll owe it to you.
No. No cash, no juice.
With such a likable character like Replay, you'd think they'd have him hang around for a little while longer. But no, after spilling the juice that Betamesh has been arrested by the unicorns and being carried away right behind their backs, the fucker disappears and is never seen again. Adios, amigo. But just then, Max's other cousin Snow shows up, and he's voiced by Will.I.Am? What is this, a Black Eyed Peas reunion? Fergie and now Will.I.Am? Next thing you're gonna tell me Apple Diap plays Max's dad.
How's your sister? Where's she at now?
Oh, she's pregnant, way up to here.
Again?
Sure, it'll be her 20th.
No kidding, you know. I don't think I ever saw your sister unpregnant.
That is so not funny.
There is really no reason for these characters to exist. Hell, there isn't even a reason this subplot should exist. Nobody is doing anything except making dumb jokes. Even the unicorns look bored, like they don't even want to be here. Need I remind you that we are already halfway through this movie and just about nothing has happened? I swear, this entire movie has just been build up, stupid jokes, build up, stupid jokes, build up, and stupid jokes. And guess what? Maltazard still hasn't appeared yet. You really can't say he is having revenge when he isn't even on screen, genius! So Arthur uses Beta's knife to, blow the cage apart and free him.
Let's pretend we're tourists.
Yeah, right. Feel more like a local.
And a blackface joke. We're on a roll now. So Arthur and Beta hitch a ride on Max's Ladybug and we get a chase scene with the unicorns in hot pursuit. The first action sequence we get in almost 40 minutes.
Good luck, guys.
And an adios and good riddance to Max, who we'll never see again after this. Enjoy that paycheck, Snoop. It can go to paying off your drug charges. So the unicorns chase Arthur and Beta through Arthur's basement before getting taken out by a rat trap. And where there are rat traps, there are badly computer-generated rats. Arthur and Beta escape through the fan while one of the rats gets nicked. That was just cheesy. Back in the real world, Arthur's parents discover that Arthur has gone missing and head back to the house. What's that? They actually care about Arthur now? They don't care about money or treasure or getting that big screen TV? This is amazing! I still think they're as bland as vanilla ice cream, but hey, now they've got a little bit of chocolate syrup on the top. Except, it's not really made of chocolate. Back in the Minimoy world, Arthur and Beta ride a butterfly and a spider back to the village, which is where Arthur should have been sent to in the first place. What was Beta arrested for anyway?
So I was riding along on my big camelus when all of a sudden this unicorn patrol cut right in front of me from the left side. Hey, normally I had the right of way.
So that was when the village got worried about your disappearance and sent me a message asking for help?
No, I left the village just that morning.
A minor traffic violation. That subplot was worth the 20 minutes. Back at the village, all the Minimoys are setting up for the banquet in honor for Arthur's return. We once again see the big-headed king. Sadly, Bobby D isn't around to voice His Majesty, so now he's voiced by...
Oh my goodness! Quick! Come on! Move off! Up we go! Will you come on now? Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! My ceremonial robes!
A Jewish African Sulu.
Young Prince, the honor is yours.
Oh, but do you want to hear really bad voice acting?
Mamma mia.
No, not him. I'm referring to Selenia. I will give kudos to Madonna for giving a decent performance as Selenia, but unfortunately, just like most of the other actors, she no longer voices her. Instead, we get a monster of a replacement. The best, the greatest, the CM Punk of the voice acting world, Selena Gomez.
How do I look?
Sublime.
I know.
Mia Farrow, Robert De Niro, Madonna, David Bowie, Selena Bieber fucking Gomez? That is seriously the best actress you could find? You couldn't find a better replacement like, say, Mila Jovovich? Selenia is practically a carbon copy of Lilo. I wouldn't be surprised if the only reason they cast her was because her name actually sounded like Selenia.
I miss you so much. I miss you so much.
Stop singing, you talentless future Hollywood crack whore!
I miss you so much.
I'm getting diabetes on the brain! I need my medicine! Drink! Well, while I would love to kill all these tiny bastards by chopping them up with my lawnmower, let's get this movie over with since we only have about 20 minutes left. Arthur is reunited with Selenia, and...
Maltazard.
Hey, Maltazard! About time you showed up after... an hour and 10 minutes? So, I guess this is his revenge, right? Holding Selenia hostage? Not much of a revenge, if you ask me. And sorry, David Bowie fans, but the Goblin King has stepped down from this throne and is replaced by Velvet Underground's Lou Reed. And oh my god, does he sound bored.
Sorry, Arthur. Not so long ago, your little swap might have tempted me, but I have better plans now. I'm tired of your little world. I want size. I want scope. I want big.
Can I have your autograph? He said to the red-haired elf bitch. Maltazard explains that his plan is to grow big so that he can live and interact with people in the human world. He also reveals that he was the one who sent the help messages to Arthur to lure him into the Minimoy world and leave him trapped there while he went out to the human world. So, what is Arthur's plan to stop Maltazard and save Selenia? Why, he throws Beta's knife at Maltazard, causing him to fall into the telescope and send him right into the human world. You ignoramus! You just gave him exactly what he wanted! Now that ugly fuck is gonna be wandering around your house, treating your family as his own personal slaves!
You lose! Good day, sir!
So, Maltazard gets flung through the air and across the field, where he's almost eaten by a beetle. But the effects of the tree sap eventually cause him to grow to human size. And who better to show up than our good friend Armin?
Arthur, I know where you are. Come on out now. Who are these delicious marshmallows for?
For me.
I'll go and get a full bag.
Yeah, I did absolutely nothing in this movie, and now I'm big! Revenge is sweet! And the movie just ends.
Maltazard.
Maltazard. I wanna hold them like they do in Texas, please.
A Lady Gaga parody in the credits. Poker face this! God, this movie sucked! Should I even call it a movie? I call it an exercise in futility. Why? Because nothing happens! It is all just build-up and no payoff. There are so many scenes of flashbacks and exposition that it almost feels like a 90-minute long episode of Naruto than it does a feature film. The voice acting has gotten so bad that it's outright offensive. And the title, Revenge of Maltazard? Revenge my ass. The guy doesn't even show up until the last 15 minutes of the film. And he doesn't really do anything major, except bitch slap a spider. The only positive I have is that the animation does look a little better, but style isn't better than substance. Hardcore headache for Arthur and the Invisibles 2, The Revenge of Maltazard. Well, that's 2 movies down and both are hardcore headaches. Stay tuned where I finish this troll trilogy by taking a look at Arthur and the War of Two Worlds. Will this franchise finally get off the ground? Is it even possible at this point?